Hello, friends. Welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. So, just wanted to pause. We're at Christmas Eve as I record this, and just wanted to pause and kind of reflect and share a few things. But wanted to just, it's been just over 8 months since I've been on YouTube, and very, very appreciative of all the support, encouragement, the community, the new friends. So as everything's kind of wrapping up for 2024, looking forward to 2025 and Strongsville, the National, I should be attending both. So it's getting, kind of on the calendar and on the radar at this point. So making plans for those things. Do have a few pickups to share. Did want to also recognize my good friend Jason. Tomorrow is his YouTube anniversary, so he'll be hitting 1 year. I believe it's actually tomorrow. So what a goofball! Released his first video on Christmas, I think. So yeah, it's all good fun. So I think the year end pickups here, I probably won't necessarily. I might have a video or two released, but not a whole lot between now and the end of the year. So want to share what just came in the mail. Um, Talking about a nice little Christmas treat. So a couple things that were true value vintage finds, and a couple that were just on the hit list, waiting for the opportunity for those to come along, and they finally did. So I'm gonna start off with those. Those will kind of be the bigger ones. So I feel like I've really gotten into the pre-war mode as much as anything, but I still love a classic, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s if it's something that's a little bit tougher to find. So I was looking through my recent pickups and finding Tops and Bowman is not very common, but when you can find the 1954 All-Star picture pack, um, now I have a list to look for. So track down Stan Musial. Obviously, if Stan's available, that's going to have to be one that I pursue. This actually, it's almost unfortunate. I've had this happen a few times. You'll see somebody, they come across like a 20 item find, and then they offer all of them ending the same time, within 5 minutes of each other. So when you go through, you kind of, there's some other really cool ones in there. There was a Jackie, there was a Maze, there was a Mantle. I was kind of watching and in on all those. Um, but at the end of the day, you have to be more specific and obviously a little bit budget mindful. Um, these are blank backs, so they're basically just like somewhere between a postcard and a photograph. They're smaller than an 8 by 10. They're more, what would that be, 5 by 7, 6 by 9 kind of size, something like that. But when you get into who you're actually going to pick up, sometimes you just have to say, okay, those are the ones I need, the other ones I would like, but realistically, at some point, the budget comes to an end, and the reality you can't buy everything is very very true. So Stan, reasonable triple figure kind of price, but just barely. The other one, I was of the mindset that I kind of had to bid what it took to get it. I think there's only been a few sales of this, um, and because it's a 1954 All Star photo pack, to find a 1954 rookie year Ernie Banks. Share Ernie a little bit closer so it can be seen better. Um, to me, that was one that there's just not enough of those out there. I'm not sure what the population of these would be in reality, because obviously I'm holding ungraded versions, so I don't know how scarce they really are. But I will say, most times when you go in and look for ones for sale, either you see there's one or two and they're ridiculously overpriced. Someone's trying to, show off that they have it and not actually sell it. Or sometimes there's just none of them. Stan, I think I've usually seen a couple of them available, but they're usually a little outside of what I think is realistic for what they're worth. And this one, there might be one or two, and they're usually multiples of what they should be. So this came in, for perspective, probably similar to like a 54 tops. I don't know if that was, extremely fair or maybe a little aggressive and salty, but um, for me, being that those aren't available very often, I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do it, this is probably the time I should do it. So I absolutely in that era, um, 40s to 50s to 60s, the players I really focus on, um, Warren Spahn, Stan Musial significantly, Ernie Banks significantly, and the other one is Yogi Berra. I don't know if there was a Berra in that auction, but if you look right there, that's actually it. I've had the Berra for a little bit, so um, really, really happy. I've got my kind of my core of that era of who I collect. So I'm like a ADHD player collector at this point. I kind of jump by era. I've got 3 to 5 guys that I collect pretty significantly. So 54 All Star Photo Pack. I'm probably pretty good. All right, share a few more, and then we'll call this a good Christmas Eve. The next, I'll share all three. I was going to do two and keep it really on the value end of things, but the other one's really neat too, so I'm going to share that. Um, so these three are really digging into my pre-war pusher mentality. I hope everyone knows that's completely a joke. I always just say, to me, it is almost like you get addicted. So, I think about like, the pushers are trying to lure you in. They give you a little sample, they give you a dabbling, they show you how easy it is to get in, and then once you get in, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck. I can't get out of this. Obviously, with a lot of like negative things, that's a terrible, terrible thing. But with pre-war, it's actually a wonderful thing because you discover a whole new world of crazy cool items and amazing players and cool stories, and you start digging into who these people were. Um, Sometimes it's not always all as as rosy and charming as we would hope, but the story of itself is still so interesting and fascinating that you just kind of find yourself wrapped up and caught up and um, pursuing more. So let me share three. Two of them are very easy to pick up if you can just find them, and find them reasonably. Because similar thing, when you only have a couple available, sometimes the ones that are out there are salty for no reason, um, which I don't love. I kind of I wish there was some more feedback or kickback on that. That's a little bit crazy. But this would be one. So these Dixie Lid premiums, they're issued like 37, 38. So I guess some were issued in 37, some were issued in 38, I believe. There's not a whole lot of them. I feel like I'm denting into the set. I want to say there's maybe 8 baseball players. There's some other sports, but the images are ridiculously great for being 85 plus years old, almost 90 years old. Gabby Hartnett. I was realizing I was low on the Gabby Hartnett count in my collection. So, again, another one of those players, when you dig in, he's not the inner circle, so he's not going to be super expensive. Most of these, and they'll come with the 2 hole punches, pretty normal. And then this one has a 3rd hole punch, so you get a bonus hole in your item. There's a little bit of creases, there's a little bit of, wear and love. The back to me is just as important. So it's got a little bit of staining and stuff, but for me, it's, do you get the 4 images? Do you get the little description? Do you get, the write up? The write up is so gosh darn cool. So I will never want one of these. The front's good, but the back's not, because to me, it's the combined package of what makes it so awesome. Now, some of these have some real value and go for some dollars. Gabby Hartnett, because he's, under the radar, not inner circle, tends to be very, very affordable. These, in almost any condition, I mean, unless you get them, kind of high grade for whatever that would be, slabbed up and stuff, but most of these are going to be under $50, 30s, 40s, something like that. I mean, literally, like that's insane to me. That is such a cool image. And you think about that, like, I mean, a photo this size, with this much color, would be like $8 if I just printed it. So to get something that's actually this old with this much amazing detail and story, can you tell I'm excited to have this? So, um, somebody commented on my channel and said, they enjoy that I get just as excited. Ernie Banks is $400 or $500. This is, 40, $50. And both are extremely important and neat in my collection. So yeah, the price tag on it, the value, ranking things, doing like the year-end top 50. It's fun to do for the perspective of kind of seeing where you sit, knowing what you have. Um, value's a real thing. I think any of us that are spending any kind of dollars on any of this stuff, we do care that there's some value associated, but that doesn't make something like that not exciting. If you thought that was a steal for, you know, 30, 40, $50, let me show you this one. Uh, shipping, unfortunately, when you get to these oversized, get to be not free. So the shipping, actually, you got to watch that. I think I paid $5 for shipping, which on this one is significant because the auction ended at like 12. So this is still probably a, trip to Chipotle if you don't get guacamole kind of price. Um, these Butterfingers, I absolutely love. Ruth Big Bucks, Garrick Big Bucks, a few others in between bucks. But this one in particular, because I feel like Farrell he's not just not inner circle, he's sometimes not even remembered that he was a Hall of Famer. And his brother's not a Hall of Famer. His brother might have actually been better. It's really crazy, but he was a great catcher. Butterfinger set is extremely fragile. So this one, if you really dive in and take a look, there is some roughness there, maybe some paper loss. This corner has a little bit of a ding paper loss. I've actually seen them with some paper loss from any grading company, still getting like a 1.5. Um, when I say paper loss, I mean like actual like ding, like missing from the corner. But I don't care about the grade. I will never submit something that cost me $12 and spend 15 or $20 or whatever it would cost. This is oversized, I guess. Maybe it's really expensive. I'm not going to spend, like, I'd rather have three more ferrules than have a slab on one of these. So to me, having it ungraded, I will say when it came in, it was wrapped in like two box ends. It was wrapped fairly well, but it was still disturbing. It was in a bag. It wasn't in a top loader like this. So taking it out of the bag, it's like I got to make sure this thing doesn't just like rip in half because it is so fragile. I mean, it's basically a 90-year-old, magazine page feeling thing. If I set it for my hand, it might literally just bend and crack in half. I'm not sure. It felt that fragile. Um, but I'm holding this up so long because that image to me is just phenomenal. The old catcher gear, the stadium behind him, his glove, just everything about that is so absolutely love that. Uh, and sincerely, that was like $12 plus shipping. So if you're looking for pre-war, just everyone thinks Kyle Bruce Gehrig. Think Google Hall of Famers if you're not as familiar, and it's a great way to learn. But digging into like Rick Farrell, like he was a phenomenal catcher, and especially for that era, second baseman, shortstop, catchers, they're just not updated. They're not Derek Jeter, Mike Piazza stats. They are team leaders. They are great defensively. They are um, students of the game. Maybe they steal some bases. Maybe they drive in some runs. But that was a whole different standard. So it's cool to just learn and see where people are revered. The Ray Schultz, the Farrells, even Gabby Hartnett. He was a pretty solid hitter, but he was known for his defense. He was absolutely a defense first star, and then a good hitter to boot. So, um, kind of fun. So this next one actually is in the same set. I wasn't sure if I was going to share um, this one, and I'll actually share two. So I think it's fair to share um, some of these bigger ones from the Butterfinger set. So I will I'll break out two more for you guys. All right, they're both Butterfingers. First is all my Cardinal fans. It's crazy reflective. But just to get an idea, it's a 1 with a mark. That's fine. One of these just went ungraded. I was really hoping one of my friends would get it, and I don't think anybody did that I know, but one went really reasonably. It was rough. So, Butterfingers, if you decide to go down this rabbit hole, because of the size and how fragile they are, ones can be anywhere from what I consider this to be a pretty nice 1. And when I show you the back, you'll realize why it's a 1 for sure. To me, this presents phenomenally. That's a wonderful looking item. Um, they can go down to, major rips, major stains, major issues, and they'll still go for some fair dollars. But the 1 scale on these is super wide. Seeing these in a 2 and a 3 is extremely rare. So these are more like Venezuelans or something. I consider these more in that realm where you're just really looking at what scope of a 1. That's the back of it. How crazy is that? So this thing's been, I mean, what did they do here? They didn't fold it in fourths because the top's fine. It's like, and looking at it, if you get really, really close, I don't know if I can even have that show up without it being super glary, but right around here and here, there's a huge line where you can see like that really does translate to the back. Um, but again, it's going to sit on my shelf. Is anyone going to notice that? Love it. So, classic Dizzy Dean. I feel like all he did is they took his picture one day and said, "All right, turn left, turn right, turn towards me, and do that." There you go. So that's your Dizzy Dean images on almost everything, which I love. Um, super super cool. But Dizzy Dean items always are at a premium. So that one was not $12, unfortunately. Neither was this next one. But this is also just as cool. Picked this up from a friend, and unfortunately, it still got filtered through eBay. That'll be the last time we do business together um, on eBay. But it's kind of what started our getting to know each other. So very, very appreciative to have this in the collection, and I still know it's from him, even though it got filtered through the big, big commissionary FeeBay process. But just as cool. Like I said, I think Fox and Hank Aaron, when I put in my like dozen players that I collect, I probably could have put them. Maybe I'll redo that and do like the top 20 players I collect because there's several that are just on the outside. There's a few that I have collected that just don't fit that profile because I'm going to have one or two because of how expensive they are, how rare they are, whatever it is, the 1800s guys. But players like this, I do have a pretty reasonable little collection of. And I do target their items when I can. So I probably need to add Jimmy to that list. Um, he's one I definitely hunt for. His story is really interesting, and his career is obviously ridiculously amazing. This one has, again, scope of 1, scale of 1s. That's probably going to just all wash out with reflection and craziness. There is a line here. Um, Other than that, it's pretty darn clean. I look at this and I'm trying to figure out. I mean, it is a huge crease, I guess, in the scope of what creases are. But again, I put that on the shelf behind me. The thing you're going to notice is that Jimmy's misspelled. You're not going to notice the creasing, the damage, the anything. So if you're hunting for Butterfingers, I will absolutely encourage you. Um, don't worry about the grades. A's and ones are going to be fantastic, and if you really want those, don't shy away from something like that. Sometimes you'll see them trimmed. We'll cut off the borders. That that'll bother you when you have 10 of them because you look at the 9 and then you'll see that other one and be like, um, but in terms of like chunks missing, I've got some crazy variations. At some point, I'll show all the Butterfingers. It just so happened I picked up 3 within the last, I don't know, couple months or whatever it be. So I thought I'd share them here. But yeah, that was a really long time to show you only 6 items. But just wanted to, kind of pause at Christmas here. And thank everyone that's contributed, participated, all the kind comments, the encouragement, the new friends, the community of it all. I appreciate everything, and wishing you all a very happy holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. If you tend to celebrate that more than the others, but um, wishing everyone a time filled with happiness, with some good cards, hopefully some good friends and family, and yeah, looking forward to 2025. I'll see y'all soon. Take care. Have a good one.